It's Podraza. I'm not making any of this up. Barbara Judd Murphy was no fun. She said they couldn't eat my cooking. Well, I can cook pretty much any way you want me to cook. So if I don't cook donuts, I prefer not to make crust. I can pretty much cook some Oriental stuff I don't dabble in, or Thai, but I can cook a lot of stuff, even corn on the cob and stuff like that. And I don't mean it to be a bragging thing. I've been cooking since 20. And my father was a short order cook to earn extra money also, to bring in extra money. Now, I feel that was out of line. West Hartford, she was working for a hospital, and she was working in the baby ward, whatever you want to call it. She went to administration. She could have hired me to type in there. Some females stood up for me. They can't take away your education. So she said she couldn't hire me. I might have saved the house. It was the wrong field, but I would have saved the house and worked toward getting that degree done if it killed me, and fighting it out with Irving Frank some more. Now, that degree could have been done here, but I had to leave at a bad point in time because it was handled crazily, and I had a rotten marriage. And I'm telling you, I was hit from both ends, but not by a female therapist here and her husband, who was a gentleman. And the police force in Portland at that time was not against my father. So you're dealing with an element that betrayed me from both sides, both ends, on that counseling degree, and also in Massachusetts. Goldman had to be more supportive of. He did at a point in time. Emmanuel caved in. He was even at Harvard. And I would have worked for him as his assistant, as a secretary, and worked in somehow the bad thing could not be done either. So much I did. Try to work at an adoption agency even. Well, that is the only thing I do question. Here, that element. I was hit on that. I literally thought out loud 3 males at a bus stop on that for some female standing next to me. I have razor sharp smell, and I can smell it. I used to try to take care of it. I used to go bang. Barbara mentioned a hysterectomy. She had heavy menstruation. Well, I don't have a hysterectomy. That's for cancer in my book within a female. It was very profuse. I don't know what I was dealing with at that point in time due to something diagnosed. You have that material in my 30s, and I went through that. And I don't recall a proper change of life. I had migraines, no sweats. Now, that was an unusual change also due to what I was on physically. But I'm going to tell you, that had to be addressed. I went floor to floor, and all they had was tampons and Tampax. It would not have worked for my menstruation. It was that profuse. And I try to be very considerate on that. I was up and down in the beginning. First 2 or 3 days, I was up and down, even took baths at the bed. The day you take baths, I came back on the 4th day, and I had cramps. So it would go away, and man, there was a mess. And I was digging out, I'm going to tell you, you're a female, digging out clots. And that darn pointed you in, taking cold showers. I had to get out of it. I took a shower anyway. That's shock treatment in the winter, taking a straight cold shower. That's nuts. And she was a female. I got out of it and had to try to dig it out of the faucet. That young man told me there was hot water elsewhere. Now, somebody was nuts. We had a conversation on that, and man, somebody in Maine allowed me to have hospital-level pads for my menstruation. I made it. And it was not the easiest round. was over at 51, but I still had headaches. And I'm going to tell you, I don't believe in hysterectomies to take care of menstruation. That was what she recommended. Wouldn't hire me. Went in the administration over taking care of the birth obstetrics. I'd have stayed in that. Neonatal, I'd have been in that. Making sure those babies were all right and birthed properly. I might have stayed in that end of nursing. And I'm going to tell you, she did not help me at all. So we severed on that. Melody didn't get along with her daughter. She was like her. The boy was more like the husband. And I don't know how to survive. I used to have such bad cramps. Occasionally, I'd take a half a day due to it. Go home and try to straighten myself out. I go back to work. I worked hard. And I did whatever I had to do to try to make it accurate as best I could. And I could type Roland, R-O-L-A-N, to test that out. 95 words a minute here, I think, or 96. With a 1 error on IBM Selectric at one point in time. I have 2 broken fingers now, and that is where this one too also. Now the situation is, I have a keen smell. I can smell it. And I would not denigrate any female on that subject. That female is old age, and she takes the bus sometimes, and some male must have taken care of listening to her, because she's doing very well on that. And I'm telling you, I did everything to take care of that at that bank. I took a long time going up and down floors to find it. I had to carry it with me, bulging out those napkins and all of that, and get up and down while I went through that the first 3 days. And I even took baths. And going to work, because I was at work, I even took it in Willimantic in the shower. I ended up breaking a glass. I washed my dishes in the sink. And then I had to get the glass off the shower floor in case somebody took a shower in that. I'm telling you, I got weak at that length of time also. And I'm telling you, that is the only question I have. Then there was a lesbian I said who was married to only 3 years younger. I said, you keep at it. He's a gentleman. And if anybody's going to get you through that, he is going to get you through that. Polino stuck me on that thing, and I don't know who even, I messed up which one was Peter's in the end anyway. But somebody cocked her head with long curly brown hair or black hair, and then there was his secretary who was the worst bitch in town and should have married the bald head. And there was somebody else with a man's shirt. I wore funny shirts and suits because I wanted to look like a female. And I got them on sale. That's all the clothes I had. I had no second wardrobe. When I went out to the shirt place, I wore 2 pairs of slacks. I didn't mind wearing them. We went out to dinner. I tried to groom the kids and going out to dinner also. Used to that. When I was in counseling with Gold, I didn't know it was a patient or a therapist. I had to go into the ladies' room. He came right in my face, screeching my head off. I said nothing. I had to change that menstruation pad. And he screeched my head off. If he were a patient, I said nothing. And Durr is screeching in my face, hollering his head off. When he finished, I went in there. And I figured, well, maybe he's deranged on the subject. And he's a patient, and that is where he's at. I told Goldman he faced the white wall. And it's as if he stood up for that male doing that. I don't like that much. And I'm telling you, that's when I questioned whether he was a Jew or not. Who was a Jew in this? Because Orthodox Jews, even my father, the old days would say nothing on that subject matter. That's real important in this issue. Anything else on that? I don't know what happened. I leave you I asked her if she had a male in her life. My car was never working. I came back and she was dead to a hospital. Meaning it would help her because I couldn't do a thing with the guy. And I don't know anything about her being a lesbian. I don't know whether she tested that or not. There are two Pam's parents at Endicott were alcoholics. They were very considerate to me. And I never said a word. She wasn't. And her husband was. And the second husband was good. And Seal betrayed me. She had 3 husbands anyway that I knew her. And I'm going to tell you, some of their kids were betrayers, not the parents. If they were wealthy, I'm talking about big bucks. And that is where we're at on this. I do have to go against this element. You must look up Ruth May. I am that female in approach and none other. And that is where we're at if I operated at all. My mother sent me there to relax, and I was upset about my mother and the situation. And she had some gut levels, and so did Jeff. He was called my cousin. He's going to lend me $5,000. Dad put him in charge of me if he died. And his son is somewhere on some ground somewhere. Lancio, those were the Lancio, Joyce's kids.